So I have read in the Times an update on the Will Knowland case at Eton, which has attracted a lot of attention on free speech issues. I followed this case closely. I watched a lecture, The Patriarchy Paradox. I'm not sure if it's still online. I haven't checked for a while. I hope it is on YouTube. A little bit of background in this case. Will Knowland was a lecturer at Eton College, which is one of Britain's most famed institutions for boys. And basically, the headmaster, Simon Henderson, who claimed to be progressive, demanded that this lecture be taken down. And he demanded this 6 times, and it wasn't done so because obviously Will Nolan felt it was important to deliver this. Taking it down would amount to censorship. And as a result of doing that, then he was basically fired. Leading up to Christmas, Will Nolan's as I understand, a house that was part of Eton. So he was basically facing homelessness with his family at Christmas, and I understand he has a disabled child. So there's a human element to this. I'm not sure what the latest situation with Will Nolan himself is, but I want to talk a bit about some of the issues around this because, as per the Times, 29th of December, there's another aspect of this case which makes it even more shocking, and that is that Eton apparently considered referring Mr. Noland to Prevent. Now, if you don't know, Prevent is the government's counter-terrorism program. So Eton, in its wisdom, obviously saw this man as a dangerous radical who was going to brainwash young minds. Now, I watched the lecture. I think a lot of valid points were raised. I think some of it probably could have been worded better. The segment on rape, for example, I think maybe he could have worded that better. He, for example, made the claim that more men are raped in prison than women outside prison. I think he'd probably need to substantiate that a bit. But I really don't think that something like that in of itself would be a reason of censoring it. Issues like that, then okay, challenge Will Noland. But fundamentally, whatever way this is glossed over, it was an attempt at censorship. And it also sends out the message that certain ideologies and movements cannot be questioned. In this case, radical feminism. Now, just imagine for a second the probability of a feminist lecturer at a girls' school delivering a lecture to young women on what an awful patriarchy they live under and how men are responsible for all their problems. She wouldn't be fired; she would be hailed. That goes without saying. Eton's an institution for boys, young men. So surely, a lecture on patriarchy and the nature of it, alleged patriarchy, and the roles that men have in society, surely that directly relates to them. Issues like male suicide, issues like male expectations in time of war, issues like the rate of male deaths in the workplace. Far more men die in workplace-related accidents, or rather in dangerous jobs than women. Um, Stating these facts can hardly be perceived as misogynistic. I didn't see anything in the lecture that can rationally be described as hateful of women or promoting violence or anything of the sort. It wasn't a very long lecture, half an hour, and maybe some of it would require a little bit more in-depth discussion. But that's the whole point. Um, by trying to censor this, you can still, like I say, see it on YouTube. As far as I know, I really hope YouTube doesn't take it down. They're depriving the students themselves of debating and looking at the issues. My point here would be not that Will Noland cannot be challenged. I'm not even saying that he's right about everything. But the message is a very, very misleading one. Simon Henderson, the principal, who's attracted a lot of criticism from this, and I should say he has some supporters as well, but a lot of students and parents have criticised this. Um, he claims he's doing it in the name of progress. That is the thing that is most odious and disingenuous about woke ideology. He claims he's not being woke. It clearly is a way of not wanting to offend feminists. That's woke. That's woke ideology. And it permeates our institutions these days, and it's deeply, deeply troubling. I believe it is an assault on freedom of conscience and expression. My point would be if anyone thinks that Will Nolan is wrong, or he's expressing points that are controversial or contentious, debate him, challenge him. Trying to silence him and punishing him leading up to Christmas was not only callous, but it sends out the wrong message. Um, I've just emailed Eton actually to express my thoughts on this. Whether they respond or not, I don't know. But I really, really, really do have concern about the direction we're going in this country with freedom of speech. I mean, it has to be said, the situation in Britain today is a lot better than many countries. I always put that caveat. But I really do believe that woke ideology, in its false claim to be progressive, it is anything but. It's totalitarian. It really is, because it states that certain ideas, certain arguments cannot be raised. My stance on free speech is pretty much to give it as much a scope as possible, short of threats, short of clear bullying. You can't make a speech and, threaten to hurt people. You can't do that. You can't express hatred of a particular group, and you can't target an individual in a very, very bullying way, except I would make the caveat if they're in a position of power. I think that's a different dynamic. But these things are under threat. They really are. Freedom of speech must allow the right to be controversial, provocative. The Simon Hendersons of this world want a situation where everything's nice and polished and politically correct and not provocative at all. How do you generate debate if something isn't provocative? The very essence of debate is about something that's contentious, that has two sides, that can be debated. So Will Knowland is critical of radical feminism. I am as well. I'm not going to beat around the bush about that. Okay, so radical feminists can debate him, challenge him. Allowing him to have a lecture wouldn't stop them from challenging his position. It wouldn't stop students who disagree with questioning that. But fundamentally, there is an issue of freedom of conscience here, and I think it's under assault. I really do. The idea that he could be put into the same category as jihadists, as far right extremists, you know, it's perverse. And I guess Eton held back from actually reporting the event because they maybe realised how absurd it would be. Ironically, all they've done is given more attention to his lecture with their totalitarian tactics. I doubt the wider public would even know about it if they hadn't taken such a hardline approach. But surely young men should be able to debate and discuss the issues that directly impact them. I mean, that's a no-brainer. And my message to radical feminists is if you agree with this censorship, well, you're just showing that you're totalitarian. I'm sure there will be reasonable feminists out there who don't necessarily agree with everything he says, but they'd be against this sort of approach. So anyway, that's the latest. There is a more positive note to this, though. I do suspect that the majority of people are not really right-wing reactionaries; they're just normal people who believe in common sense. And I think there is a real pushback against woke orthodoxy, um, falsely presenting itself as progress. It isn't. It just isn't. It's certainly not true liberalism, and there needs to be a pushback against it because these people, give them an inch to take a mile. I do believe that they want, as another example, I'll just put this in because I might not make a video about it. Black Lives Matter activist, I think it was somewhere in the Midlands. I think, yeah, Derby, I think it was. She actually wants a situation where microaggressions are treated as hate crime. In other words, if you're at a party, in different circumstances to now, but yeah, if you're at a party and you ask someone where they're from, as a matter of conversation. Oh, where have you come from? And let's say they're black or Asian, that could be perceived as a microaggression. I hate crime. There really, really has to be blowback against these people. By the way, she considers herself militant, modeling in the same form as the Black Panthers. I do think Black Lives Matter is getting more and more like the Black Panthers, and in a way, that's a good thing because it will backfire. And I think all those foolish politicians, Keir Starmer, he's an intelligent man. He should have known better than to take the knee that time. It was absurd. Um, but yeah, those of us who really do believe in freedom of conscience, progress, liberalism, and liberty need to see woke ideology for what it is: totalitarian, intolerant, and hypocritical. Thanks for watching.